made clubs that hosted me to presenting this presentation today. So, as the title is appear here, we are um, talk about cyber threat hunting, cyber threat intelligence from data to defense. So the session title, it's calling itself, it's calling or describing all of the structure of the presentation, because without data, threat intelligence or cyber threat intelligence, even hunting is not making any senses. Without data, without information, we cannot do any stuffs out of there, because we have to have a data to process it and then start post analysis or analysis itself. So a little bit about me: I'm a international computer security speaker, Egypt, Historia, Iraq. So I'm not updated it, but I speak it already at Nexus Club, or I have a speak inshallah at Taiwan and also in Sweden. So I'm a malware reverse engineer at Spectrum Blog. I'm doing malware analysis for fun, for investigation, but my main job is security operation analyst. Okay, just for a small notice, or I mean like a small alert is CTI. When I say CTI, it's a stand for cyber threat intelligence. When I mention TI, it's a for threat intelligence. And when I mention TH is for threat hunting. CTI is for cyber threat intelligence, and TI is up for threat intelligence, and TH is for threat hunting. How is IR for incident response, and the IR is for digital forensic and incident response. So actually, what's a cyber threat intelligence? So I have one principle in my daily works or studying journey. I just make a stuff simple. Just make a stuff simple. Not trying to um I mean understandable by hard structures and keywords and so on. So cyber threat intelligence is information that can be used to understand the cyber threat, like how attack happened, what's the motivation up behind it, and what data has been exfiltrated or not. Okay, cyber threat intelligence is actually the information about information to understanding how attack that happened. It's all. It's a just evidence based. That's mean information, because actually the evidence is information by itself. The information is about how the attack is happened and what's the motivation behind this attack, and what's the main difference between um, threat intelligence and cyber threat intelligence. So the cyber threat intelligence is a simply focus only on digital threat like hacking, malware, phishing, vishing, smishing, and so on. But threat intelligence is have a more vision. Okay, it's past the borders. It focus on physical security or physical threat or geopolitical threat, and so on. But cyber threat intelligence is mostly focused on this type of threats that is onlining, like a web exploitations, hacking or malware or phishing, vishing, and so on. So that's the main difference. Cyber threat intelligence is focused on digital threats, and threat intelligence is to have a more wide visions. It's focused border like a physical security, like a human security, because human also can be vulnerable, and geopolitical threats also. So cyber geopolitics. So everything have a goals. Our goals to be here today to learn something. If there are no goals, no one will be here, or no one uh, all left the meeting. So the goal of CTI is identify the threats and preventing the attack, and also minimize the impact. Okay. So first of all, when you identify the attack, you can build a great defense mechanism. For example, when the attacker uploaded a shell into a compromised website, they don't upload the shell by some names that look appear suspicious. For example, like a shell.php, like a evil.php, like mal.php, bad.php, and some other names. So when we have a mindset to identify the threats, so identify the threats, it's not only means it's a malware, it's a happening by phishing, it's a watering hole attack, it's a scheming, and it's a zero-day exploitation, and so on. No, identify the threat is, it can be by dozens of ways, like suspicious names, suspicious names. For example, the attacker is not always uploading the shell on your web server by some names that appear to be a malicious web shell. I saw the cases the attackers uploaded a shell by illegitimate names such as install.php, signup.php, or index1.php, or radio.php, or return.php. Okay? And preventing attack. So it's other one is a preventing attack. It's a proactive defense. So cyber threat intelligence, because it's a process of collecting information about the TTPs, about the attack vectors, the attack assets, so we can build a proactive defense. That's mean we have the two type of a proactive defense. One of them is a proactive, and the other one is a reactive. So react in a reactive side, the attack is happening. The attack is done. The attacker exfiltrated the data from our organization. But in proactive defense, still the attack is not occurred, still not happened. So the one of the goal of the cyber threat intelligence is a building proactive defense and minimize the impact if the attack is happen. Okay, for example, our organization is compromised by unauthorized login. The attacker deployed brute force attack to compromise SSH or FTP and so on. But when we are identify the threat, the attack, and then prevent it, block it, and block this IP address and change the credential. So it is true we are being compromised, but we are minimize the impact. We are minimize the impact of the attack. So it's a reactive defense. It's a way to understand the reactive defense. We are mentioning the proactive defense. Actually, you are trying to prevent the attack still not happening. But in a reactive defense, you adjust, minimize the impact because you are already being compromised. I explained it before. Our organization is exfiltrated or compromised by brute force attack, but we identify the threat is and block the IP address and change the credential username and password, and then we minimize it, the impact. That's a main goal. But actually, there are some issues of cyber threat intelligence or threat intelligence by itself. It's not only of CTI or TI or TH. The problem is everywhere. For example, in a digital forensic or computer forensic or IR, the attacker is not always lifting their fingerprints inside the computer. It can doing secure delete. So even log tampering, timestamp changing, removing metadata. So the problem is from everywhere. Okay, but the main problem in a cyber threat intelligence is too much data, because the threat intelligence, cyber threat intelligence, relying on data, everything relying on data, AI itself relying on data. If AI, there are no data for AI, there are no feeds for AI, the AI will be down as soon as possible, because AI is actually processing the data. So in a cyber threat intelligence perspective, managing this data is a very hard. Is a very hard. Maybe you will. The question came into your mind: how the companies like a Kaspersky, like a Lookout, like a McAfee, like a Norton, and so on, are finding this interesting cases like a 0 day that spyware that have a 0 day exploiters, or commercial spyware trojanized application like that. So actually, they told me, I have some friends that working in Kaspersky or other vendors. They told me we have dozen of samples every day, and we are trying to look out some of samples that look like interesting to us. So that's a main issue of a cyber threat intelligence also, because it's hard to manage all of those data, because some of them maybe it's a false positive or true positive, and different formats. The data or the information always is not same. It's not much always. And other problem is lack of resources. So it's a true, nowadays if you have a great tools, great solution, you can prevent such a huge attacks, expect 0 days, or some kind of social engineering attack. In a past 10 years ago, we are just relying on our mindset. There are only some forums, there are only some YouTube channels, there are only some courses to learn offensive security or defensive security. But nowadays there are dozen of resources. So that is mean if you have a great tools and some mindset, you can be a great one on the cyber arena. And other problem is the attack is change. The attack is change. For example, the attacker is not always trying to compromise your organization network by brute force attack. Just a small example, because maybe in a second time you are setting up the two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, okay, or biometric from a USB flash. So in other time, the attacker will come by sending a malicious document through phishing mail. So you have to be ready to the attack change also, because attackers doesn't came with the same tactic or technique, or even the same malware, because maybe the antivirus vendor wrote a new signature to recognize the sample. So the attacker always trying to adapt new technology, new solution, new technique to bypasses EDRs, NDR, XDR, or security vendors or security projects simply. Um, it's also difficult to connect it with other systems. That's other issues of the CTI, and also false positive. False positive is a one of the issue. It's also available on BARP suite, um, related to web application scanning. Maybe this data is returning into your dashboard, or this alert from SIEM or from log management agent is not always the true. So it's another issue actually. So the layer of a CTI divided into four different parts: tactical threat intelligence, operational threat intelligence, or strategic, then technical threat intelligence. So I will explain all of them very simple, very shortly, to teach you and treat your skills and your background, to try to understand simply of to try to simplifying stuff. Okay, do not try to understand stuff very hard. Just make it simple. Actually, tactical cyber threat intelligence is information about how cyber attack carry out the attack. It's a very simple. It's a lightweight understanding of the tactical threat intelligence. It's an information, or it's an evidence-based information about how attackers compromised our network through brute force, or supply chain attack, or their insider threat, or their maybe physical access, and so on. So this type of the threat intelligence help organization understand the specific action of the attackers. Just um, take some attention on there. This type of intelligence helps organization understand of the specific action of the attackers. Okay, in the Middle East, we have dozen, or even in Asia, we have dozen and dozen of the teams that make a web shells, produce a private web shell to bypasses firewalls, similinks, or root the servers, and so on. So, in one of the countries of the Asian, or of the Asia, when they try to upload a shell of compromised web server, they name it as radio.php. Most of times when I faced hunting their shells on the compromised web server, their shell name is radio.php, red.php, signup.php, plugins.php, admin1.php. So in a tactical threat intelligence, when you understanding the specific um, uh, attack structure, you can understand easily on hunting more samples, more shells, more feeds of upcoming attack, because you have information about how the attacker carry out their attack. But again, one of the problem is changing the attack. It's not always the same. And in a operational threat intelligence, in this layer is information about current or upcoming cyber threat. So one of the main key point of someone that uh, have an interest to come on cyber threat intelligence uh, jobs or skills and so on, he or she have to understand the cyber threat landscape. What's phishing? What's phishing? What's social engineering? What's honey trap? What's insider threat, insider breach? What's shadow ITs? What's the malware exploit, 1 day, 0 day, end day, and so on? Or what's a public exploit? What's a private exploit? What's attack surface management, and so on? This is basic information. Why they need? Because based on this information, it can and help organization to uh, carry out preventing this attack. That's mean proactive defense, and also who is attacking and how they attacking and what's the impact. That's a great one. Who is attacking? That's attribution. How the attack may happen. That's a TTPs. And what's the impact? What's the impact of the attack? So, for example, the attacker is IPT1, attacked happening by phishing mail that attach it malicious document, and the impact stealing sensitive documents from our company or source code. So, if you have the information about the current or upcoming cyber threat, like what's phishing, how you recognize the phishing mails, and so on, so you can protect your company from preventing from upcoming attack. So you can learn it from a Mitre framework or other forms that like Arcus that teach you um, about cyber threat intelligence. And in other hand, strategical or strategic threat intelligence is a inform. Basically, I always try to make stuff simple to be easy to understand. So, strategic threat intelligence is information about long-term cyber threat. For example, Mirai botnet. Okay, Mirai botnet. For example, we can say that Mirai botnet is back to oh, okay, NGROD. For example, NGROD. It's a little bit old school. So we can say the NGROD is back to 2010. Okay, the analyst will every version trying to monitor the sample changes in functionality on code structure or in a new features in a each different is. Okay, I remember when the NGROD author has been arrested, okay, from 2013. Okay, for example, the NGROD back to 2010, analyst John is a mimic name, it's not real one. Analyst John monitoring the NGROD samples, okay, the server sample from the first version until the last version. So, based on the monitoring, you can understand and build a great defense mechanism to the community. One of the main key point of the cyber threat intelligence is not always about protecting your organization or your company. It is true, your company, first of all, you are trying to protect your company, but in other hand, you will share the feeds or the IOCs or rules with the security vendors, to other with other companies. And technical threat intelligence. So this one is information about the tools and software and method that attacker use it in cyber attack. So this one is a very easy to understand, because in this layer you are just need to understand the common software that attacker used in cyber attack. For example, Weebly to generating a malicious web shell, Metasploit to generate a shell codes, Cobalt Streak, okay, it's the post exploitation framework, Sliver, Start Killer, PowerShell Empire, Njira, Dark Comment, Spynot, or could be um Aquintix. Aquintix, even it's a legitimate tool, but it can be used for scanning a website, for finding security flow unexploited. SQL Map or Core in Packet or Nessus, it's all legitimate, but it can be again for offensive purpose. So in this case, you are just trying to understand the tool of trade, the tools that attacker used in the cyber attack, like a DroidJack, Zeus botnet, Blacknet, or Hookbot, or Supershell, Unam. So when you understand the tools of trade, you can easily recognize what's happened. Okay, so understanding the tools of trade or the tools that cyber attacker deploying on their operation is not always um so it can be useful for security operations, all job roles also. Why? For example, uh, you are work as log analyzer in a in company A, okay? So log analyzer have to understand what the Apache log structure, Nginx log structure, Microsoft IIS log structure, and Cloudflare log structure, or Akamai. Of course, it have a great firewall ones, or like a mod security log structure. Okay, when log analyzer or log analyst understand what's the structure of the logis. For example, Nginx or Apache, they are similar. Okay, who, when, what. But in Microsoft IIS is a different. First of all, remote IP and the IP address and the date, and then what? Okay, when you understand the log structure, you can easily recognize stuffs out of there, because each software have the different sending structure. For example, when you have some expertise, a little bit expertise or foundation of SQL map, so of course when you're trying to scan a website, you are sending a logis, a data on the web server. So you have to know what's the SQL map to recognize the attacker trying to deploy SQL injection attack on our website. So that's why the technical threat intelligence is important in this case. Okay, I always mention it: reactive cyber defense, proactive cyber defense. So actually, what is it? Reactive cyber defense is a responding to cyber attack after happen, but proactive cyber defense is a trying to prevent the attack before happen. So the proactive cyber defense, it's a indicator of attack, is indicator of attack, and reactive cyber defense is indicator of compromise. So guys, just try to understand the structure of a term. Is it will be very easy to you. When you hear about indicator of compromise, that is mean That is mean the company has been compromised because the indicator compromise information about what? File hashes, tools, IPs, hosts, artifacts, and so on. Networks logs, okay? Even the sample itself. So when we say that, when we say hash, of course, it's about sample. It's about sample that use it on the cyber attack. So in indicator of compromise in IOCs, that's been 100% the organization has been compromised. Because why I need IOCs when the company has not been compromised already? But in indicator of attack, that is mean the attack still not happen, but attackers or foreign adversaries will try to compromise our company. For example, attacker trying to password spying or brute force attack on our SSH or FTP. Okay, so it when the alert come to when alert is come to a dashboard, it's an indicator of attack. Indicator of attack. So easily, indicator of attack IOA is a sign of the attack, sign of someone trying to access your network. But in indicator of compromise, that's mean your company is already has been compromised, and you are trying to collect the information and write a rule and show to the community to build a reactive defense. So basically, reactive defense it's just trying to minimize the impact. If you remember, one of the goal of the CTI is minimize the impact. So in this case, it's just trying to minimize the impact because you are already has been punished by attacker. You have been penetrated by attacker. But in proactive defense, you are still have a chance to stay alive. Okay, you have to update your operation systems, take a security awareness training, recognize the phishing mails, and so on. So proactive cyber defense, it's just about protecting your company from the attacks that still is not occurred. So traditional intelligent methods. So the traditional intelligent method is in a CTI or TI or even threat hunting. It involves gathering the information about manually. Okay, trying to analyze or gathering information manually, like looking at the reporters or past attack or human sources. For example, you have a friend from Kaspersky. Hey, Alex, what's the new attack happened? So Alex give you some information. It's a traditional method. Or like from the reporters that Checkpoint or Lookout or Securities from Kaspersky will publish. Okay, or just by googling some O centers. So it can be useful because I have hunted dozen of web shells or C2 panels only by looking at the reports. Even I have found some C2 panels or web shell still even not publish it on the public platforms like a threat folks or Ural House. So that when you say traditional, it's not mean it's unuseful. You can get still benefit on it. So human in a CTI, it's a just getting information about the attack happen or attack cases from friends. Maybe you have a friend from companies like a Kaspersky or ESET. Okay, I have a friend from Kaspersky or ESET. Maybe they give you information. It's not whistleblower. You just ask what's the new attack, what the new vectors happen. Just get a more information like a news reporter. And OSINT is a very important open source intelligence. It's not always it's not only for cybersecurity. Maybe some people will think that OSINT is only for cyber. No, we are always doing OSINT in our daily life. For example, a girl called Malina, okay, or Monica sent a follow from Instagram. It's a just scenario, okay, not real. You are trying to visit their profile to check when the attack account has been created. The picture look legitimate or not, the name fake or not, is actually awesome by itself. Okay, so that's also OSINT. It's about collecting and gathering public information from the internet, or by doing some Google Docs or news or social media about cyber threat. So also we have a real time information gathering. It actually, there are some platforms that doing something like that, like ThreatFolks, Ural House, or like a URL Scan, or Hunt.io, or a threat feeds or threat views platform. They are just provide a real time, or ctx.io. They are always providing real time feeds. So real time attack, that's mean simply live feeds, live IOCs, live information about the attack, and historical intelligence gathering. So, guys, this one is very important. Very important. For example, sometimes when I trying to hunting a shells from compromised web server, when I look at the some links or URLs that um, attacker uploaded a shell from the web server uh, 2 years ago. Okay, it's someone may come, oh, it's a 2 years ago, it's outdated, or the shell of course has been removed, so leave it up. No, I just try to open it and get the indicators and try to do some googles to find to other web shells. Okay, I will show you a small example. Okay, so for example, um radio.php. Okay, so actually, where's the screen actually by itself? Um, page.url, radio.php. Oh, we can say alpha.php. Okay, so this one. Okay. Oh, oh, damn. Let me find a cool ones. Page.title. So this one, okay. Um, it's actually a web shell. Okay. Okay, it's a 3 months ago, but when I try to go to the indicator and check this cool information, for example, this one, you are trying to find the other information, the others shells out of there, based on the historical threat intelligence. I hope it will be a great example how historical cyber intelligence can be useful. Also, in a cyber threat intelligence um, terms, so we always doesn't mention the data. No, it's a fetus. So So actually and simply, the CTI feeds, it's a this data that products or vendors will provide to you in a real time. For example, Eurohouse, it provide information or the malicious URL in a real time. Okay, in a real time. Like for example, this one, it's a payload. Okay, and you are trying to doing a some um virus total and doing the post analysis. Okay, for example, this one, and serving IP address, and go to the relation, and you may find other communication file or others malicious domains with the referring file and so on. Okay, so real-time feed is a very important, or it could be a threat folks. Threat folks, it's a very important also. For example, I'm trying to find a super shell. Okay, this one, and copy and go to the browse link. It's a great one to if you want to browse. Oh damn, trying to back to your scan to scan the URL, because browsing will take some times. um let me do something to get easily access the browser link. Okay, okay, until the browser link will be ready, keep move our explanation and how we can collect it a CTI feeds. So we can collect it, the CTI feeds from public platforms and free platforms or commercial platforms, and from community, especially you can rely on Twitter or a GitHub. For example, this one, C2 feeds, it's a by criminal IP. Okay, criminal IP daily C2 feed. It just provide a daily IOC's indicator of compromise about command and control server. For example, it's a Metasploit. Okay, it's a Havoc, Mesh Agent, Mythic, and so on. And she the no, still not really browsers. And also it could be Covenant and Havoc and custom C2 and so on. And also again, you can get the feeds from threat folks. Okay, or hunting abuse Doce. It's a great one also. This one, for example, you are trying to find a super shell, and just you have to log in, but it provides information about you, about what you are looking for. So one of the CTI platform feeds is actually um, threat folks. Threat folk is actually, it's a great one. It's a great one to finding IOCs, to finding C2 panels, and to find much more relevant information. And Virbag actually is also okay. I'm trying to, oh damn it, Virbag. So the Virbag is a great platform to hunting C2 panel. For example, it's like hook boat, something like that. It's a super shell. Okay, we are just trying to access it. Okay, it's a super shell. This one, it's a super shell. Okay. Okay, the screen is ready. Okay, that's the feeds that we are collected from threat folks, from Threadfork. It's a supershell, and it's a supershell panel. Okay, and you can try to even so there are other ways you can try to deploy. You can try collect those IP addresses, all of them. For example, it could be southern malicious IP address that hosted a command and control server or a specific botnet. Then you can try to block it on your network organization. So in case if your employee downloaded a sample mistakenly, so because you are blocked a communication between this IP address and on your network, it's not usable. It's like, I saw some samples that attackers trying to add virus total or some antivirus vendors on the host file into your Windows operating system. Because when you're trying to block IP address or a specific website and add it to a local host, you cannot actually make a communication or establish the communication with it. And Polyswarm is one of the most important platform to finding some samples. Polyswarm, you can find some sample even it's not available on VirusShare, Virus Exchange, Malware Bazaar, or Malshare, and so on. So you can try Polyswarm very well. And other one is a Neki TIP. Neki is a great one to find example, IOCs, and gather insight about the portional threat and attacks. And also, we have other platform, Malva.re. So the Malva, you can try to analyze a malware very well. It have a decompilation or deobfuscation by itself. So you can try it. A beta version is a very useful, and so on. So I think we are done. If you have any kind of the question, of course, Malva.re, it provide structure analysis or disassembler and decompiler. It's a very useful. Actually, it's a parsing configuration about the malware or decompilation of the autoid script. Try it. Also, it have a great attack graphics, attack emulation graphics. You can. It's a very useful to understand very well. If you have any question, you are free to ask. Uh, and also, I will try to attach the most interesting threat intelligent feeds. Also, all of the feed is um, uh, collected by myself. Uh, it's a handmade. Okay, it's a spend dozen of hours to collecting this great feeds to you. Okay, it's I sent from the chat. Okay, and there are some search query to hunting the shells and C2 panels. It's all available on Chatis. The platforms and the chats are the query, of course, are available. So if anyone have any question about threat intelligence and malware analysis and so on, you are free to ask.